Have you ever noticed that you can be doing everything right? Working on yourself, learning, growing, trying to improve, and yet love and money still feel strangely blocked. Not completely gone, not a disaster, just limited. Like there's an invisible wall you can't quite pass. Very often, the reason has nothing to do with effort, intelligence, destiny, or bad luck. The reason is much quieter and much deeper. It's the fear of being yourself. The fear of showing who you really are. The fear of saying what you actually feel. The fear of wanting what you truly want. The fear of being too much, not enough, different, inconvenient, or wrong. And this fear shapes your life far more than most people realize. From a very young age, we learn to adapt, to be acceptable, to fit in, to not upset anyone, to not disappoint, to not be too emotional, too honest, too alive. And slowly, almost without noticing, we learn to live from expectations instead of from truth. We put on a version of ourselves that feels safer. At first, it helps us survive, but over time, that version becomes a cage. When you're afraid to be yourself, you don't build relationships from honesty. You build them from strategy. You try to be liked. You try not to lose. You try to be right. You agree when your body is tense. You stay quiet when something inside you wants to speak. And real love cannot fully flow in a place where authenticity is hidden. Love responds to truth, not performance. Money works in a very similar way. Money is not only about skills, action, or discipline. It's also about permission. Permission to take up space. Permission to receive. Permission to want more. Permission to be visible. When you're afraid to be yourself, you unconsciously make yourself smaller. You don't ask, you don't claim, you don't risk. You stay within what feels allowed. Many people believe the fear of being yourself is the fear of judgment. But if we're honest, it's usually something deeper. It's the fear of losing love. The fear that if you are real, you will be rejected, abandoned, or left. So you choose safety instead of truth. And that safety comes at a very high cost. Because when you're not living as yourself, a quiet emptiness appears. Even if your life looks fine from the outside, even if you're in a relationship, even if you earn money, you feel that you're not fully here, that your life is playing on low volume. Many spiritual teachers spoke about this in very simple ways. They said, the world doesn't respond to who you pretend to be. It responds to who you allow yourself to be. When you deny yourself, life also seems to deny you. Not as punishment, but as reflection. The fear of being yourself rarely looks like fear. It usually disguises itself as logic, as this is more reasonable, as now is not the right time, as I should be more modest, as I need to earn it first. But underneath all those explanations is the same message. Don't be fully you. Take a moment and look honestly. Where do you hold back? Where do you silence yourself? Where do you choose approval over truth? And what does that already cost you? Love comes where you are allowed to be real, not perfect, not polished, not convenient. Real. Money comes where there is an inner permission to exist without shame or guilt, where you are no longer constantly restricting yourself from the inside. Being yourself does not mean being rude, selfish, or irresponsible. It means being honest inside. It means not betraying yourself for the illusion of safety. When you slowly begin to return to yourself, life doesn't collapse. It stabilizes. Yes, some people may leave. Yes, some things may change. But space opens for what is real. For real connection. For real abundance, not just survival. The fear of being yourself keeps you in a narrow corridor. But life is much wider than that, and it begins to open the moment you stop hiding. This doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't require forcing yourself. It begins with a small inner permission. Permission to feel, to want, to choose, to be imperfect. Listen to this carefully. You don't need to become someone else for love and money to arrive. You only need to stop hiding who you already are. You are not blocking life. You are simply afraid to take your place. And the moment you begin to do that, gently, quietly, at your own pace, life starts responding. You can return to this video as many times as you need, not for motivation, but for remembering. Because sometimes, the most important thing is not learning something new, but remembering what you've always felt. And remember, anything is possible.